Hello and welcome to GameTales. Destiny, the Taken. The process is simple. An aperture opens like a jaw and swallows a living thing. Later, it returns. What returns is, I try to use the word shadow, but Teres hisses at me, insists that these taken are more real, somehow. She uses words like inhabited, exalted, rendered, final. My hidden tell me that the taken shine with seething negative light, as if the universe is curling up around them, as if they radiate some pathology that decays into our world as nothingness. The taken serve Oryx, but I think those jaws lead elsewhere. The taken are darkness corrupted entities originating from multiple species that have been warped into the ascendant plane and paracausally altered to serve their given purpose. Once used by Oryx, the Taken King, as his personal army, they have more recently been utilized by other powerful darkness-aligned entities in the wake of Oryx's defeat, including Zavafun, the Witch Queen, Kira, Blade Transform, Zivu Arath, God of War, and the Taken Amakara, Riven. The Drifter, a rogue human light-bearer, known for experimenting with the darkness, has also managed to achieve a level of temporary control over the Taken, while the Nine can create their own counterfeit Taken out of dark matter and sheer will. Imperative, corrupted, seek light, destroy light, obey the collective mind, obey the Oryx, obey Oryx. The power to create Taken is granted by the darkness itself, and is bestowed only to its most formidable servants. The process of taking involves summoning a portal or aperture that rips an individual out of the universe and transports them to an unknown location within the ascendant plane. There, the taken possessed victim is met by the will of whomever took them, who offers them a way to overcome their former weaknesses. The taken being then returns to their original universe with new paracausal abilities and a compulsion to serve the one that took them. Taken versions of enemies have radically different behaviours from their standard counterparts, including new abilities designed to counter Guardian abilities. Groups of Taken can be mixed with members of different species and can appear on Earth, Venus, Mars, the Dreadnought, and Io. History of the Taken. The Hive entity, Oryx, is deploying a paracausal ontopathogenic weapon that infects and subverts Ecumene forces. The weapon operates on individual targets. Targets are abducted and returned as compliant Hive slaves with inexplicable and physically illegal abilities. All Ecumene clients should immediately devote all economic and cognitive resources to a countermeasure. Fight hard. We stop the Hive here, or see our galaxy devoured. In the distant past, the Hive god, Oryx, sought to obtain the power to take in order to help him defeat the Ecumene. He killed his two sisters to gain an audience with Akka, the worm god of secrets, whom he slew in turn. Oryx stole the secrets from its flesh and wrote them upon a set of tablets he named the Tablets of Ruin. After speaking to the deep directly, he returned, mantled as Oryx, the Taken King. With his new power, Oryx waged war upon the Ecumene and defeated them utterly over a period of 1,140 years. In the process, conjuring back his two sisters in the same way he had killed them. During the Golden Amputation, Oryx took the Emperor Raven and assured the defeat of the Tashibethi. When the Vex invaded his throne world, Oryx took and turned them against one another, eventually expelling the cybernetic machines from his domain. Later, aboard the Nietzsche fort ship, Oryx encountered and took Kira Blade Transform, the Vex mind which had orchestrated the organized invasion of his throne, and later gifted it to his sister Zavathun as a present. The Taken War. What Crota began, I complete. My will conquers all. The Taken War was a major system-wide conflict fought between the Hive, led by Oryx, and all other species in the system. The war began as a direct result of the Guardians slaying Oryx's son, Crota, to stop an attempted invasion on Earth. Oryx brought his fleet to Saturn and made free use of the power to take in his assault on the solar system. He took Fallen, Vex, and Cabal in enormous numbers, besides his own hive and began blighting the system with his taken forces. When he unleashed his dreadnought's superweapon against Queen Mara Sol's fleet, he also took the Techians Sedia, Kali, and Shurochi, and through them was able to spread his taken forces into the Dreaming City, where he took the Amakara River. The Taken Prince. With Oryx's defeat, his surviving Taken were released from his control and rendered independent, but directionless. Oryx was assumed to be the only known entity to date to have possessed the power to take, but following the Taken War, others, such as Malak, Pride of Oryx, developed the ability to manipulate Taken and their blights. In particular, with assistance from the Techians and Varix, the Reef was able to capture a large number of Taken within the Prison of Elders and developed a reliable method for infusing Taken energy into their arms and armor. Resurgence. The Taken King is dead, yet his armies rife and claw at our worlds. Some time after Oryx's death, Zavathun assumed control of the Taken, apparently through the Taken Vex Kira blade transform and its simulations of the Taken King. 2 years later, during the events of the Red War, the Taken invaded the European Dead Zone and corrupted a forest outside of the Traveller's Shard. Certain Taken had also mutated physically, developing 2 large curving spikes on their backs. A Red Legion commander was also somehow converted into a Taken, even though Oryx had been defeated prior to the invasion. Ikora commented that these Taken were no longer leaderless, but had been acting under a new, higher power. At some point, Red Legion Scions used their psionic powers to successfully harness and infuse Taken energy into themselves and their superiors, empowering them with Taken-powered weapons and shielding. However, this effort was stopped by the Guardian. On Io, it was discovered by Ikora and Ashemir that the Taken had established a foothold on Echo Mesa after being drawn there by remnants of the Traveller's Light. They had even attempted to open a portal into the Ascendant Realm, but the Guardian intervened and closed said portal. The Taken would launch a major offensive by polluting the water supply at the EDZ through the use of blights. However, this attempt was foiled by the Guardians, who managed to destroy the Blights and slay the Taken in command of the infestation. Grask the Consumed, a recently taken Red Legion commander. With confirmation that someone is assumed control over the Taken in Oryx's place, the Guardians and the Vanguard begin to suspect one of Oryx's sisters. Meanwhile, back on Io, the Taken began to appear in greater numbers and were noted to have interacted with the Vex. The Guardians discovered that Taken affiliated with Kira had been kidnapping local Vex in Blights to corrupt them as Taken and form a new army after the many losses in the Taken War. Kira would summon Irarok, Tongue of Kira, to accomplish this plan, but would be foiled by the Guardian, in which they killed Eliatox and Aurorus, Irarok's lieutenants, and dismantle the Taken plans of corrupting the Vex. Urarok would then lead an assault into the Pyramidion with the intent to capture the Vex Collective like Oryx before, but would be destroyed by the Guardian. And though a large number of Vex had become corrupted, their efforts prevented the Taken from corrupting the Vex Collective once more. Witch Queen's interference. Not all Taken we encounter are the same. Many still hold allegiance to some distant Hive incantation, though it is no longer connected to Oryx. Following the destruction of the Almighty, the Vanguard would confirm the arrival of the darkness itself, with the pyramids touching down on worlds around the solar system, even disabling Rasputin in the process. With their arrival, Eris Morn would attempt to meet the pyramids on Io to learn of their intent. However, Nokris' supplement to Zavathun ambushed Eris with the Taken, and one of Zavathun's witness shriekers to shroud the cradle with the Witch Queen's influence. The Guardian, who was ordered to follow her by Zavala, would attempt to save Eris, only to be pulled into Zavathun's court, where they would be overwhelmed by witness shriekers, until Eris rescued them from the Ascendant's plane. After pulling through her injuries, Eris and the Guardian would discover a tree of silver wings and harness the seed within its roots. After a heated meeting with Zavala, Eris enacts a plan to harvest the darkness from the pyramid scales for the seed, with the help of the Drifter, and help to clear up the messages with the destruction of witnesses corrupting them. Detecting the ploy Zavathun would deploy her servant, Kira, Blade Transform, and its army to sabotage these darkness harvesting operations to prevent the Guardians from learning of the darkness's messages to them. Meanwhile, the Drifter would devise a plan to delve into the Nine's realm and meet with them once again to ask the question, what is the darkness? With the help of the Guardian and Eris Morn, the Drifter's plan would then be set in motion. The Guardian would venture into a strange paracausal portion of their realm, asked to venture deep into the bowels of this realm by the emissary, eventually meeting with a visage of a taken Kell and its simulated dark army. After bypassing its defences and destroying its army, the Guardian will disperse the Kell Echo and finally get the answers on the darkness, learning that it isn't that different from the light and should be utilised as a means to survival, as the Guardian did with the motes throughout the inscrutable corners of the realm. Biology of the Taken. There are no adequate words to describe the experience of being taken. We would need a sensorium. The nature of the Taken was once described by the Usamine as an ontopathogenic weapon designed to infect and subvert Oryx's enemies into his paracausal slaves with inexplicable and physically illegal abilities. According to Oryx, the Taken serve as his ultimate embodiment of the darkness and its sword logic philosophy, the desired final shape that is free to exist without the need to insulate itself from reality. In the case of Uldren Solve, the Taken corruption manifests starting as an uncontrollable itch beneath the eyes, turning the Sakrella black and gradually manifesting in dark, shimmering veins across his body. Taken are composed of sterile neutrinos and resemble their former selves for the most part, but are ghost-like, shadowed and eerily glowing, with a blindingly bright orb typically obscuring their facial features. Many Taken are seen to shiver or twitch in a disturbing manner, and their vocalizations are warped into shrieks and howls. Over time, exceptionally powerful Taken have been seen to grow pairs of black curving spikes from their bodies. However, there appears a risk for species such as taking Vex, as the Vex infect everything they touch. Their self-replicating subroutines could consume the Taken from the inside out. Blights. I think these blights are like transmitters. They're either calling out to something or letting something whisper to the Taken here on Io. The Taken constantly exude a substance called blight, which resembles a black, shadowy liquid or vapor, usually crackling with energy and exhibiting the same eerie luminescence as the Taken themselves. It can flow across the ground like a vicious liquid that smells of ozone, seeping into the soil and presenting a contamination hazard when it comes into contact with water supplies. Wherever Taken have become entrenched, spherical aggressions of blight are commonly seen. These seem to serve a variety of purposes, including shield generators, area denial, and interdimensional communication nodes. Loyalty. I am Taken. My guiding shadow has become formless. My directive is gone. I know I have one. I cannot remember what it was. Taken are unwaverably loyal to their master and will turn on former allies without hesitation. Even strong-willed enemies such as Vex Axis mines or Cabal commanders are incapable of resisting this change. Although new Taken can be created through the taking of new victims, existing Taken will remain indefinitely if their master is killed. A sufficient, powerful being with the ability to take can assume control of Taken previously generated by a different individual. While all Taken are enslaved to their master's will, more powerful Taken retain a degree of independent thought and initiative, mostly at the discretion of the masters themselves to keep them interesting. After Oryx's defeat, the Taken Knight, Malok, Pride of Oryx, attempted to seize the vacant throne for himself, while the likes of Kira, Blade Transform, and Riven were powerful to retain independent thought. Other Taken, such as Narusk, Servant of Oryx, have aspirations to ascend, while many, like Kexis the Betrayed, are lost and leaderless. With the advent of the Red War, Taken activity spiked and was more coordinated. Taken enemies. The Taken have new abilities and characteristics that set them apart from their regular counterparts. Acolytes. Acolytes can summon a hostile orb similar to a Shrieker, an Acolyte's eye, that fires bolts of energy in rapid succession. Captains. Captains can throw a plume of darkness known as a darkness bolt, which temporarily deafens and blinds guardians hit by it. Their upper bodies are bent at an angle from their lower bodies. Centurions. Centurions can fire a ball of energy known as an axion dart that behaves similar to the Void Walker's axion bolt. Goblins. Goblins can cast a shield around another taken, which grants them invulnerability. Hobgoblins. Hobgoblins are accompanied by 3 balls of energy that behave like a shrieker's last-ditch attack, known as a retaliation swarm, replacing their solar defensive reflex. The balls are ejected at high speed when they are attacked and killed, and will produce new ones given enough time after. Knights. Knights can cast a barrage of fire projectiles known as solar jets, painting the terrain it impacts with sunspots, albeit smaller than those produced by sunbreakers. They can no longer call a wall of darkness to both protect their front and regenerate a small amount of health. Minotaur. Minotaurs are cloaked, though they are surrounded by a slight mist trail. They can be temporarily revealed under heavy damage, or after they perform a melee attack. Phalanxes. Phalanxes can fire concussive blasts of energy from their shields that force players back, similar to their regular shield bash. Taken phalanxes only draw their shield when under heavy damage or when about to fire. Scions. Scions can duplicate themselves, with the copy having full health. Vandals. Vandals can deploy shields similar to Ward of Dawn. All taken inside the shield regenerate health. Wizards. Wizards can summon an endless horde of shadow thrall, which behave like regular thrall. In addition to their regular attack, taken wizards can use the necromantic gaze, firing 3 solar projectiles that move much faster compared to the standard darkness blast. Thrall. Thrall teleports frequently in a mostly horizontal fashion instead of running at their target. Their claws cause solar damage,